Hi students, Mr. Jackson and Mr. DeMerchant here again with One Take Productions once again to introduce our second math project. In this one, everything you need will be found in the technology tips and tricks part of the Moodle as well as in Unit 4, Circles and Area. Let's take a minute to look at what we're going to do in this project. In this project, you are going to have a chance to create a 3D model. So in the model you can create whatever you want. You could do a playground, you could do a moon base, you could do anything you want. However, what we're going to ask you to do is calculate the area to cover the ground portion of your model. So if we were doing this floor, we'd want you to calculate the entire area of the floor, and we want you to take away the area of all the parts that are touching the floor. We're going to assume that those are attached, and we're going to figure out how much space it takes to cover it. So there are a number of different ones you could do. For example, you could also choose to do something like the Apple Store, which in this case is glass, very tough to do. Or you could also choose to do something like a regular playground, and that's what I'm going to show you in this one. We do have some requirements that you look at circles, parallelograms, and triangles as part of the unit. So let's take a quick look. You'll be working mostly in a program called Google SketchUp. You can find that down in your start menu, down here at the bottom of your screen. Once you first start up Google SketchUp, you're going to go into template and you're going to choose simple template in meters. Far easier to do your calculations in meters. You're going to start using SketchUp. At that time you will open up to the SketchUp main screen. Now on the screen all of the functions are located up here at the top, and we're not going to go over all of those in this video, but there are some help pages that are located in your technology tips and tricks part of Moodle. So please have a look. As you have more questions, we'll add more content. So let's suppose that we're going to start out by making a circular playground. Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my camera view so I'm looking straight down. So if I go to standard views and I do a top view, sometimes called a bird's eye view, we can see that our fellow here, if I rotate, he is a very thin man. However, we're going to look straight down at this. I'm going to go back to my camera and I'm going to choose the top view. I want to make a circular playground in this case, so I'm going to click on circle and I'm going to make my circle with a nice radius of 30 meters. So I simply draw my circle, I type 30 meters, I don't need to click on anywhere else, just type into 30 meters and hit enter, and you'll notice I have a really big circle. In order to see that, I'm going to use the roller wheel on my mouse and I'm going to zoom out. The other place that you can also click is you can click up here at your magnifying glass. Using the hand, I can move this around. Now, in my playground, I am going to have a couple poles, and these poles, I want them a certain size. So let's say I'm going to take some fair size poles. I want my poles maybe pretty big, so I'm going to make them 1 meter. I'll type in 1 meter, comma, 1 meter, and I'm going to make them a meter by a meter. That is pretty small, so I have a lot of space in my playground. But I'm going to take that pole and I'm going to, if you notice with our pole here, our pole is going to take up a certain amount of space in this playground, and the rest of the space I'm going to make grass. So I'm actually going to go through now and use the bucket. I'm going to go to vegetation and I'm going to turn my grass green. That way I can keep track of it. And I'm going to make my grass green. You'll notice my pole in this case is not actually green. It is a nice gray color, but I know I want my pole to be more like a little bit of wood. So I'm going to take, I don't want fencing in this case. I'm going to just take some colors and I'm going to pick a nice brown color here. And that's going to be the color of my pole. Now that pole is currently in 2 dimensions. When I rotate, once again using the rotation tool, which is right here, when I rotate I can take that pole and I can raise it up. Gotta wait till it's all colored, and if you look, now I have a pole that's coming along the 3rd axis. If I change my view once again using camera and I go to standard views and a nice top view, my pole is straight up and down. So obviously when I'm calculating the area of the circle, the the part with the dots in it is the amount of grass I need at this point, and the top part where this pole is going to be the area that will not be grass. So the area of the large circle, pi r squared, in this case r is 30 meters, minus the area of my square is going to be the area that I need grass. So pi r squared minus 1 meter times 1 meter is 1 meter squared is the area of the grass. Now that's kind of boring, just having one pole. I don't think anyone would want that as a playground, but I want to actually create something where I can calculate the amount of area. So maybe in my playground I want to make a nice big round pool. So I can put in a pool. I'm going to undo that. I know I want my pool to be 5 meters. So I'm going to start like that, draw my circle, put 5 meters in, and I have a nice big 5-meter pool. But I don't want my pool to be grass, so I'm going to go up to my paint bucket and I'm going to find a little bit of water. Some water here, and let's have some nice blue water for my pool. Now, as you know, no pool is complete if it's above ground, so I want to take my pool, and there's a couple ways I can do this. I can either push the pool down into the ground, or the beauty of SketchUp is I can actually go underneath, and I'm going to pull this pool down a little bit. So I can grab my pool, whoop, and I can pull it down, and I want my pool to be, well, I don't want a lot of little kids in there having trouble, so I'm going to only make it 3 meters, and I now have a nice 3-meter pool that everybody can play around in. So now if I go to the top view, camera, standard views, top view, you can see that my area of the grass is now equal to the large circle minus the pool area minus the area of my square. Now the components of this project are to make sure that you have a circle, make sure that you have a triangle, and for triangles we're going to simply make those using our drawing tool, because we need to calculate the area of a triangle. It's one of the outcomes in this unit. And we also want you to have a parallelogram somewhere in there. How you do that is totally up to you, but we want you to be able to set that up, and you're going to be working in 3D to create what you would like. So you could create a nice walkway that's off the ground. You can create anything you want. In the end, though, we want you to be able to calculate the area of grass that's going to be there. If you choose to do a moon base, well, we got to keep the dust down. So we want you to calculate the area of the rubber or some other material that you're going to use in order to keep the dust down on the moon base. Choose whatever you like to do. Have fun with it, and we are here for help. Don't forget to use the technology tips and tricks to help you out. All the requirements will be listed on a second piece of paper, which will be posted to Moodle, but we want to see your calculations on a separate piece of paper. We would also like you to load up your final SketchUp file to your Google Drive, and then you can share that with us and we'll have a look at it from there. Okay, I hope you've learned something on this, and I hope you have a lot of fun with the project. Should be lots of fun. Mr. Jackson and Mr. DeMerchant out.